Over to you, Cherry, for the case study.
Cool. Thank you so much, Henry. So I am going to start talking about my hero journey to start with, and then I'll share my experience about what I've learned in these 3 months, the kind of process that I went through, and the kind of principles that I've used when I was doing the course. So I am going to start just quickly talk about my hero journey. Right. So I moved to the UK to study about 15 years ago, and I didn't know what I was passionate in at the time. The only thing that I knew is that I didn't want to study for a business degree, and so I came here to study art instead. However, I didn't realize, having come from a place like Hong Kong, a place that is so close to Japan and a lot of cool and new technology that was accessible, I was brought up to enjoy getting familiar with a lot of new technologies. After moving to the UK to study, I had a lot of free time, so I started getting into building websites for fun. And I embarrassingly built an online forum for David Beckham fans to get together and talk about him, and also customizing my space profile for myself, my friends. Just coding seems to be something that have kept my interest and something that I found very intuitive. After I've completed my degree, I've decided to explore a career in the digital world. So I started off as a junior admin role, facilitating digital project delivery in a publishing house. I worked hard, but I was also very lucky to have an amazing manager at the time. My conversational English was a lot worse than what it is now. And I happened to have a manager that is very patient, and my quietness, just because I was quite shy about my English, didn't seem to bother him one bit at all, even if being a project administrator would mean that I had to force myself to communicate with a lot of people in a language that I wasn't completely comfortable with. I hated being on the phone because I couldn't guess what the person was saying by just reading their lips or their body language. So it was very tough training for me for the first couple of years. But I'm very glad that this manager, instead of seeing what I wasn't great in, he seemed to have seen my strength and also my drive very early on. And he allowed me to become his little shadow, just learning everything that I could from him. And he pretty much mentored me into a very efficient project manager in delivering all things digital, while giving me an opportunity to learn how to harness the latest technology and drive a business forward, negotiating and influencing stakeholders and suppliers to get the best outcome, and also how to spot the problem and turn it into a business idea potentially. And the more I get into that, the more I think that this is being project manager is not something that the only thing I wanted to do, because it's fun to work with technology to develop a new mini business every time when I work on a new product. But at the same time, I was always made to feel that it wasn't really my place to do that because how junior I was at the time. And then I start moving around trying to grow my experience and exposure in digital. But at the time, there wasn't a lot of companies that knew about product development because it was a very new concept. Product opportunities were very limited, if not non-exist. So I unknowingly have been doing a lot of project management work alongside product management responsibilities for quite some time. I have in the past, I've had really controlling managers who were not keen to give me opportunities to grow, who would then put me in a box and just, this is your responsibilities, just do that. I've got managers who didn't really understand what digital means, and I've also got managers who were too busy like prioritizing other things over building a great product. So I was quite frustrated for some time, just because I knew what I wanted, but I just need to find a route to get there. And all these experiences just kind of helping me to form like the way I am now. And I knew that because of that frustration, I had to actively look for a new opportunity somewhere that would allow me to be a bit less strict with what my responsibilities would be like, and explore new ideas and new skills. And I wanted somewhere that would offer me a broader exposure in digital and technology, with a less defined set of responsibilities to upskill myself. And I was lucky enough to have found a place which is where I am now. With my current workplace, I have been thrown into all sorts of different projects, but whenever I had to wear a product manager hat, there always seemed to be an uphill battle for me. And whenever I felt uncomfortable, I would then start to doubt myself and then fall back into my project management role. or the PM mode, which felt wrong, because being a project manager, while it is great to know how to manage the risk, manage the change, and manage the budget and resource, it is just not quite the right kind of criteria or like quality that I think a great product manager should have. So that prompts me to think that, right, I need to start looking for something that will help me to become a great product leader that I want myself to be. And that makes me feel like, with especially like recently, I've been put on like a very high profile project at work. And that makes me feel at loss quite a lot of time and very stressful, because there were so many occasions where I didn't know what was the right thing to do. And I always feel like I have to rely on another person to help me make decisions. And, I didn't understand what are the indicators that I could use in order to help me to make the right decision for a product. So what I did was, I was determined to change how I feel. And I started looking for materials that could help me to become a much better product manager that I want myself to be, and exploring online training and any training material that I could get hold of to help me with my day-to-day. And that's how I found the Prod MBA. And I feel like in the past 3 months, Prod MBA has helped me to understand the methodology behind a successful product development cycle. And with Henry, yourself, and also other mentors that talked to me, I felt very supported, as well as the cohorts, of course. Like everyone just helped me to explore, the process, and to try to identify and like issues that is quite close to my heart. And you guys helped me to come up with an idea, validate the problem, and then with your support, I validate my offer with potential customers, and eventually formulate into a solution that potentially could be developed further into a viable business. And having gone through this cycle in the past 3 months, it makes me feel like, I finally knew a little bit more about what I can do with my product career. And each step of the way, you have been teaching me like the kind of indicators to look out for, and it really gave me a huge confidence boost in my product career. And I have been applying what I've learned from Prod MBA back into work, and it really helped me with my strategic thinking, which I didn't really know I had in me before I joined the course. Just by asking the right questions, focusing on understanding the customer needs and the pain points that need solving. These are the new things that I've learned from the course that will help me identify and validate the product strategy. And the past 3 months, this has sent me onto like a transformation journey that transformed me into someone who is en route to become a product leader, because I found myself being in a situation where I have to put together and present product strategies at work to senior stakeholders more and more often. With the fact that I'm currently in the process of trying to get a promotion, and I've been identified as a high potential individual at work, hopefully with the boost from Prod MBA, this will be the year for me, fingers crossed. So this has been my journey of becoming a product manager. I'm going to share with you briefly of my activities in the past 3 months, but just before I do so, I just want to stop here for a bit and see if there's any questions.
I'll cover the comments at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a note, Cherry, just 10 minutes for the next section.
Yep, sure. So just a quick summary of my activities in the past 3 months while I'm on the course. So I have developed my product based on these principles on the screen here. So first of all, data over opinion. Of course, I will have an opinion about the problem I want to solve, but it doesn't really mean anything if it wasn't validated by quantitative data and qualitative data. And then secondly, problem over solution. So understanding the problem thoroughly before starting the solution too early is key, because that helped me to prevent making really expensive mistakes, getting a bit too deep into something that is not quite right, and then try to pull that would be a lot more difficult than trying to understand it a bit better before making a decision on solutionizing it. And retrofitting a problem into retrofitting a solution on a problem just doesn't work. And then it's important to know who the product is for. So it's important to know who the niche is and who are these customers who would have such a big need for something that they're happy to buy the trouble away. Finding these customers is key to bring me to a step closer to validate my problem, solution, ideas, and everything. So that's key to get that right early on. And also the importance to know my competitors. I think it's okay to not be the first one to crack the same market, but it would be useful to know who are who are also targeting the same customers and what are they offering, what are their USP, and comparing to what I plan to offer, and see where there's an edge of advantage that I can have. Also, fail fast and learn fast. I think it is okay to fail, and knowing that it is okay to fail also gives me a comfort of just being a bit bolder in exploring my niche, my problem, and everything, as long as I learn fast, fail fast, and repeat the cycle again. Because it is absolutely right not to get the problem right for the first time. And finally, I think listening to customer is really key. So I think you taught me the important, just the importance of finding ways to reach the customers that I need to speak to, and knowing what they want from market and understand the problem and get their feedback has really helped me to, shape the product I want to offer. And just based on their feedback, I'll be able to iterate and just keep making my offer closer and closer to what the market needs. So that is the principles that I used, and then the process that I went through when I developed the product. So first, I start to understand the problem space. I spoke with 10 customers who intend to move to the UK from Hong Kong to understand what they worry about the most, and job prospect came up the highest, and the language barrier is what worried them the most. So I am going to show you the problem statement that I've gone through with the target audience as well. So first of all, when I started the project, this is what I think, which is, I believe that people moving from Hong Kong to the UK are currently frustrated by the lack of support in job search, and their ideal situation is to be able to find a job within 6 months that they have moved to the UK. So just wanted to take a pause here, Henry. Is there any questions that you have at this stage?
Yeah, no, all clear so far.
Okay, cool, great. So with this problem statement in mind, I validated this problem by sending out invite to 10 people within my niche to take part in a 30-minute call, just to get an initial understanding of whether this problem statement actually is true. And then 5 accepted and jumped on a call with me and provided an insight to validate the score and problems, language barrier, cultural difference, and the lack of support to find a job, terrified of being interviewed in English, all comes to mind. And but despite all of these, all of my niche really wanted to make it work and be alive in the UK. So I started to think about what could help them. And this is what I've done with the interview, and I capture all of them on the template, and trying to make sure, like, I asked the interviewee to score the seriousness of the problem, and that helped me to prioritize the problem that I should be looking at as well when I'm looking for a solution to solve the problem. And then next, I start to ideate the potential solution. So based on the insights I've collected at the first stage, I start to think about a personalized service in Cantonese that may be helpful, because that would remove the language barrier, and with my knowledge in the local culture and workplace culture, a service like this would provide my niche with the support that they need. So I come up with the offer, which is we empower Cantonese speakers newly settled in the UK to find a new job with a personalized advisory service in their native language, from CV writing, interview preparation, to job application feedback. What I did was that I built a page on Bubble and share a survey on social media like Facebook groups and Instagram to capture feedback on my offering. Although I didn't get a huge response rate to my survey, but from the 3 responses that I received, it gave me a very good indicator, or at least like all of the responses that I've got, all three of them gave me a very good indicator that it is a service that is desired by some people and they would be happy to pay for it. And through this survey, I also managed to capture one lead, which is not bad considering this is like 33% of the response who gave me, who told me that they would be happy to pay for it. So this is how it looks in the survey. I try to make it a bit friendlier in terms of understanding that language barrier is what they worry about. I make sure the survey has both Chinese and English on it, because obviously like it would make sense for them to use Chinese when I'm trying to target like Chinese speaking community. And then with the landing page, I'm just using a language that they're most familiar with in order to make it look more appealing to my target audience. So next, which is to validate my product vision, the survey result gave me some confidence that my MVP will be serving these Cantonese-speaking customers new to the UK who don't have a huge network of support but eager to get a job that they desire and not just any other job. They're from all walks of life and they need a trusted advisory service to point them to like the direction that they need to be, and to help them prepare for all the process that will come when it comes to job hunting. So that helped me to develop further into my MVP, which is a personalized service, career advisory service in the native tongue. And I continue to use Bubble landing page to generate interest, and I've also used Miro to capture the customer journey, to map out what it is like to empathize with my potential customers, how they would feel each step of the way when, all the way from when they move to the UK to start job hunting, applying for jobs, preparing for job interviews, etc., etc. It was a fun exercise to go through because it helped me to keep my focus on my customers rather than, thinking about too far ahead. So my next steps will be to run the product fit engine to try to find the right product market fit in order to validate my hypothesis further, identify customers who identify a customer acquisition strategy to get more potential customers to trial my beta service, and also to find out whether, based on the feedback that I will capture, to decide whether I should pivot or persevere, and whether it's ready for the market. So my hypothesis for that I would like to validate in my next steps is that what my core value of my product, what my customers will see in the product. So I want to know whether the local etiquette, workplace culture, and interview preparation in Cantonese is something that they definitely would like to, is something that is decided by my target audience, and whether that's something that they would like to pay for, and how much they would like to pay for it, and at what point of this service that should exist in their journey of trying to find a job or trying to settle down in the UK. So that is pretty much everything that I wanted to go through today for my case study. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. Yeah, really good. Nice to see. Awesome. So I'm going to give feedback on the hero's journey case study, and then sort of general comments, I think, to take forward. So I think hero's journey.
Yeah, sure.
So first thing I think, I think if you're interviewing, context would be, I'd say like, hey, tell me about yourself. You'd come in, you don't mention you're doing a hero's journey. So I think it's, it's like, oh, let me tell you a bit about myself, and then you go into the hero's journey.
Yeah.
So the whole point of it is it should be this natural story, right? The more you do it, the better you get, obviously, over time. But generally, there's a good flow to it. You put in some like quite fun stories, like the Beckham fan thing, the coding, you sort of transformation over at the beginning around sort of English improvements. I like the mentorship point as well, sort of showing that you've got someone to help guide you as well with quite tangible things. Like I think you mentioned like business strategy or a couple of things. The challenge, and I felt there were two heroes' journeys. So there's like early Cherry and then later stage Cherry. So then you went into what I felt was the important one, which was, what are the challenges? Pushy manager, don't understand digital, so you felt a bit stuck and stagnated with your career. Frustration that you realised you needed to find a route out. It's really, really good. Transformation, spelling it out really clearly, like on the path to product leadership. Good. That's what they're looking for, right? Is a product leader.
Yeah.
So I thought the second half, it was good, but it was way too long. It was 10 minutes. And I think you need to be doing that in like 2 to 3.
Right.
Really punchy. It's, the early stage stuff, you think about it, it's like, it's interesting, but what they're really interested in is like, what was your path in product management?
Yeah.
So you want to just really, really focus on that. Particularly in a long interview, they're going to have done lots of interviews that day. So you want to just immediately hook them in. So just cut everything else out and just go, here was the frustration I had. I love products. I've always been coding. I've been like making fan groups. Yet I feel stuck in this role. Here's what I did to change that. Here's where I'm at now, and here's why I'm, an amazing person to hire. So one hack there that like really goes against what we generally think is like create curiosity gaps deliberately. So don't go into lots of detail, because in their mind they want to go like, well, what happened there exactly? They're going to ask questions. Same with like sales, for example. Best way to pitch Prod MBA is just in one sentence, because they're expecting you to like tell them everything about it, and actually what you want them to do is ask questions to fill their curiosity, essentially. Sounds counterproductive, but it makes sense. Case study. So good flow into this from the hero's journey, flowed very naturally. Change the name on the slides there. You've got Henry Latham rather than Cherry. Bottom left. Small thing, but again, if we're going to be pictures. Principles were very good. I like how you used to explain them as well, to listen to customers and actually needing to go and find them. Very good validation work as well, I think, throughout, particularly for the sort of problem in MBA. Problem is very good, very clear. Small things are important, like using bold to highlight the key elements. Really good. And there was excellent flow from problem to experiment to validation. One criticism I would say is explain things. So like the hypothesis one with the vision template. So what is that? I know what it is, you know what it is, but for other, what are you doing there, right? You're basically validating problem, right, through quantifying user. Hypothesis 2, you did do that actually. In the hypothesis 2, you explained what was there and what the results are, and had that flow and story to it. Vision was very clear. I liked with the hypothesis 2 as well that you did focus on brand. I think that was important for this market. So good. I'm glad that you thought through, using your being analytical there and see what makes sense. I think general comments. So I think really good to see you step up like visibly in confidence and strategic thinking. I think it's like visible changes, which are great to see. I think one thing I would say to take away is like be a bit bolder. I think I felt like you made a lot of progress at the beginning. I know you're busy with work and stuff, but maybe as a next step, it's like continue with this. Go and test out a solution. There's a huge amount of learning from testing out a solution. Or you could try something else and like go down the digital path, for example, just to really build up these strategic muscles. I think would be one thing to take away. But that'd be generally really nice to see this. I think hero's journey, keep a bit shorter. To go do those next steps, and I think you're then in a really good position to step on into more senior PM role as well.
Yeah, cool. That's good to know.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you've helped me to go through like a process of building my strategic thinking and just giving me new ways of understanding problems. So thank you so much for that.
No, more than happy to help. I'm really glad to see it. It's also always great to see the case study. It's really rewarding to see you go through it. But awesome, Cherry. Thanks so much for the time as well with this.